It's a new day in the shop, and today we're working on the Overland here. The last time I took this thing out, I blew the CV axles in the front. Actually, I think both of them are bad because it's been clicking for a really long time, so definitely one of them has been going out. But I think it has gone all the way out. And so instead of messing with figuring out which one it is and replacing the one, I just bought two new ones. And they were a little more challenging to find a pair since this does have the Verilok axles in it. You just have to be a little more particular when you're buying the parts, but it should be fairly simple. I've replaced the hubs and tie rod ends and a whole bunch of, I've replaced the ball joints. Like everything in there is less than 2 years old, so it should come apart fairly easily. Plus, 7 or 8 months of the last year was this thing sitting in here with the engine out of it because I've had to do a whole rebuild and everything. That was a mess. But today, I'm going to just get these things changed out, and then hopefully we'll have four-wheel drive again, and we can go test that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Definitely got that one. Well, looks like I got both of them, just like I thought. So, good thing we got replacement axles. And I know this brand isn't like the best brand in the world. I'd eventually like to put RCVs in this thing. I just don't feel like it's worth putting RCVs in it until I get the long arms on. So for now, cheapo replacements. Hopefully they last a year. It's always good to look around while you're in here working on stuff because you never know what you might find. This one is a particular favorite. That's not supposed to be loose. That's good. That'll cost some stuff. Otherwise, a lot of this looks fine. It's unbelievable that my new tie rod ends, the boots are already just destroyed. The drag link end is still doing okay. So that's good. But that's annoying. I would change that, but this summer I'm going to be upgrading to 1-ton steering. Basically what I have on Meatball with the quarter wall DOM pipes and 7/8 time joints and like reaming these out and everything. So a lot of this just has to get by for a little while. See, my drag link is still straight. My tie rod is still fairly straight as it needs to be. They're supposed to have this bend in it. And my metal cloak springs are still holding up pretty good. Looks the same. The thing you particularly want to look at with the Verilok axles is the sealing surface. Let's see, this one's all crusty. But the sealing surfaces, the space here, and the spline count. On the non-Verilok axles, this will be different. In fact, I have one over here so you can see the difference. This is my extra axle shaft for the Beerbulance that is definitely going to need it because I just broke those last weekend. And the Beerbulance is a Laredo, so it is a non-Verilok Jeep. And you can see the difference in the shafts here. The Verilok has much longer spline count, and the seal surface is further out. And this is the non-Verilok. So if your splines are too short, then you got the wrong axles, or vice versa if they're different, whatever. But this is a Verilok, this is not. We got the WJ out of the shop. I got all my tools and stuff sitting on the floor still, but that's fine. It's like 10 o'clock, 10:30, something like that, on a work day, of course. So we're gonna go test out the four-wheel drive on the Jeep here. And then tomorrow we can clean up and do all the responsible things. So I'm gonna hop in. We're gonna go run the ditch that's over that way and see if the four-wheel drive's working and see if the front end's still clicking. Somewhere. Dark over here. Try that. There we go. And that's right, the winch mount right into the ground. I like my bumper. We're gonna go this way more. Be a little too bound up for this old girl. I still got some trimming to do on the fenders. About right there. Well, I think I'm going to call that four-wheel drive fixed. I got bound up pretty good in that one spot where my tire on the passenger side was just digging into the fender way too much. It wasn't going to happen. This Jeep's definitely still needs some trimming done on the back of the wheel wells. It just is a lot harder to trim on this Jeep because I have those factory rock sliders. So I have to pull the wheels off and trim them up too, which I've been wanting to trim them up and cap them anyways. So for today, that's going to be all the fun we're going to have. And tomorrow, we got to go pick up I guess my cousin-in-law. His car died. He's got a 05 CRV. And to change a tie rod in, a ball joint, and a radiator, the dealer was going to charge them, I think they said $3,500. So I'm going to go pick that up from the dealer and bring it back to the shop, and we're going to fix it up here. So I'll see you guys tomorrow when we start digging into that. All right, round 2, WJ in the shop that needs CV axles. The Virulence, I just broke the CV axles last week, and I've been anticipating this day for a long time since I've been running 35s on this and just beat the crap out of this thing. I broke a rear axle shaft. It took like 2 years on the Dana 35, which was really impressive, but I had parted out a Jeep that had a really crappy welded rear end, but the shafts were still good, so I saved those. I got one in there, and I just have one more spare, so I can break one more rear axle shaft before I swap this out for the Dana 44 that came in these. But the front's still a Dana 30, no matter what trim you got. So running these 35s and not doing anything else, I knew this was a day that was going to come. So I've been saving those from the same Jeep that I parted out. And so today I'm going to change it. And I think while we're in there, we're going to use a couple more parts I have laying around. Let me show you. So while we're in there anyways, I got a few more parts laying around. Like, I've had this sitting on the shelf for a couple years. I have mixed amongst in here a Spartan locker. So there's some more bits and pieces down in here. The reason that this one has been sitting around is you can see these holes are wallered out a little bit. They're not perfectly round, and apparently that makes it not unlock very good. So actually this was in an axle I sold to a guy, and he let me know that these were wallered out so bad like the day he put it in, and he's a friend of mine, so I bought it back so he got to keep the axle for about half price. Says he had to rebuild his gears and fix an axle shaft and everything. Anyways, he ended up breaking an axle shaft because of this, driving it on the pavement. This will never see the pavement, so that'll go in while these axle shafts are out. And then while it's up on jack stands, I have this long arm lift kit laying around, so this might start manifesting itself into this Jeep today and tomorrow. So it'd be nice to get some trunk space back and not have junk rattling around in here. So I think that's going to happen. So I'm going to jack this thing up and look at the instructions online for how that's supposed to be installed to make sure I have all the specialty tools and stuff that I need, because I know on these WJs, the rough country long arm lift needs you to drill some holes with a certain size hole saw. So let's get this thing jacked up and see what we can't tear into. All right, got it up on jack stands. You can see with the 35s on a puck lift, it only rubs a little bit. You got some minor rubbing there, a little bit up there, some over there, a little bit down all of this, a little bit down there. It's really not that bad, but, and these brakes are pretty tight too. Don't worry about that. I got some speed holes. It's the $200 Jeep. It's the Beerbulance. It's fine. That axle actually seems like it's okay. Oh, these brakes are not letting go. Oh, that might be why. Holy cow. Look at that twisted brake line. That can't be good for it. Let's see if I can't get this thing to break loose. Nope, not by hand, that's for sure. One of these has to be broken. Unless I blew the front diff, but it sounds pretty unlikely that it's that. However possible that may be. Yeah, front diff is okay. I guess I should put the transfer two-wheel drive. I'm sure it's still in 4-low. Or at least down in neutral. There we go. Now, that's stationary. If I lost a front end, this is about to get a lot more expensive than $3. I was hoping this would be free. Oh boy. Let me move this out of the way. I can reach under there. If this lost a front end, I'm not putting any parts onto this until I get new gears and stuff. So let's do the shake test. All right, nice and sturdy on my jack stands and my floor jack. Let's try this way. Is there anything spinning in there? Can I turn my flash on? Yeah, okay. See if you see anything spinning right there. That's not good. Uh-oh. Maybe I actually snapped an axle shaft instead of a CV. That would make me feel better. I don't feel it clunking. It just feels like it's free balling. Anything there? Oh boy. That's full rotations on the... I don't feel it clicking back and forth. We may have lost the old Dana 30. Oh, buddy. So, I guess the next step is I'm going to pull this apart and see what's going on in there. Because I got to pull it apart anyways, put a locker in it. Which is clearly going to help this situation to never happen again. But we'll pull that cover off and drain the fluid and see what we see. All right, moment of truth here. That's on there pretty good. Usually they just pop off. This one's got dirt all over it. Okay, promising color so far. Oh, I'm gonna be so mad if it's blown up. Although, to be fair, I have some extra gears laying around for a Dana 30. I just really don't want to use them. Because we're doing that solid axle swap on the Blazer. And the Blazer does not need 355 gears in it anymore. So they swap right into this, theoretically. I did not realize, I guess you can't hardly see it, but this ball joint on the drag link is brand new. Good on whoever did that a couple years ago. All right, what do we see? What do we see? Oh, oh, there's pieces. Oh man. Did I explode a spider gear? Because that'd be okay. Oh, I exploded some spider gears. Oh, buddy. I'll let me get you up closer to that. Okay. Oh, what do you think of that? Oh, I got it good. I wasn't even doing anything fun when this happened. Just putting it along in the backyard.
Okay. Oh, it doesn't care. Okay, cared a little there.
Well, I guess if the spider gears are broken, I guess I'll put a locker in there since it's free. Oh boy. Alright, I've been making a mess here, but I've been getting a lot of work done on the old Beerulance. So, if we come over here, if I can step over all of the junk that is in the way, which is a consistent problem around here, you can see up underneath I got the crossmember in, and since I didn't clean it from the last Jeep, it looks like it's been in here for a long time. And I've also got the old lower control arm mount. I used the plasma cutter to get that off, and that's the best tool I've ever used to remove those lower mounts. I've used grinders and sawzalls. That takes forever and is loud. This was easy. And then I've got the links all attached. They're loosely bolted in. They're not tightened up right now. Obviously no shocks and no springs yet, but so far this is going really well. And if you look at where this is putting the axle position, you can see the old coil spring came down to about here, and now it's going to come to about here. So we moved the axle forward a couple inches, which is going to be super nice. I shouldn't be eating into this every half turn of the steering wheel anymore. So we're coming along pretty good. I think while everything is out, I'm just going to remove the front sway bar because that's not something that I need on this anymore. And clearly it's been up out of the way the entire time I've had this thing. And then I'm also thinking, I know a lot of people with these get rid of all of this right here and just have the bottom of the headlight as the approach angle. And that's seeming like kind of a neat idea. So I'm going to play with the idea of doing that. But regardless, I've got to get the rest of the lift installed on the other side. The track bar did not want to come off on the axle side, so we may be rocking the stock track bar. Doesn't really matter for the Beerulance because it never sees the road, so if it tracks a little funny, it tracks a little funny. So for now, I'm going to get gaming on the other side, see if we can't get this all sitting on its own weight today. Alright, so I'm working on removing this lower control arm, and it's not just falling out of here because I have bent the crap out of this thing. It's all bent and caved in here, but it's also, you can see, pushed out there pretty aggressively, but pushed in here. You can actually feel it right there. It's kinked along this line. So this, clearly long arms is a maintenance item since this all goes away. So I gotta hit that out with a hammer and we'll keep on gaining. See, now this is the side you have to worry about, because this is the side where the little nub isn't enough, and the spring falls out that way and sometimes a little bit that way. And since the Beerbulance gets repaired as cheap as possible, that's gonna go right there, even though it's not big enough, but it is big enough because I have it. So I'm gonna weld it around that side, and that should keep the spring from kicking out, at least for a little while. So I'm gonna do that, and then we're gonna get this thing jacked up and put on its wheels. Well, there's a 4.5 inch long arm lift in the front with the axle pushed forward a little bit. The tire doesn't fit anymore, or the tire does fit now. It doesn't not fit anymore. How stupid is that? The tire is going to actually turn more than a half a turn on the steering wheel. And I think that's about straight. That feels right. The rear obviously still needs a little bit of uppity up. The front's all in and it's all tightened up. I'm pretty happy that I got that done today. I might start digging into the rear because it's just going to be easier, right? Because there's those control arm mounts to cut off, and then the little bracket doohickeys. So I got to put the brackets on. The one's going to be annoying because it's under the fuel and brake lines and stuff. So I might just bolt it to the bottom and then weld it because I'm lazy and welding is a lot easier than putting the bolts in. Plus, this mean machine right here is going to be mine until it can no longer go. So if I weld some stuff onto it and make the long arms permanent, what do I care? So I'm going to think that over a little bit, maybe while I put it on some jack stands, and we can address the intense amount of lean that this thing has now. Well, it's getting late, so I think I'm going to leave it at that for now. The 4.5 inch lift actually brought this thing up quite a bit, and you can see I've got the Jeep at full lock steering, and nothing hit, so I guess that's a success. The Beerbulance is no longer going to be the rubbing machine with the long arms on it anyways. So I didn't do the rears yet. I put the brackets on to one side and lost motivation. You can see the other one sitting on the ground right there, but I'll do that later in the week. I gotta wait on the front end for the pins for my Powertrax locker. The pins that came with my free one are broken, so once I get those in, we'll be back on the Beerbulance, and then we'll be ripping this thing out in the ditches. And this might be the new contender for Meatball, being with a single locker and the long arms, but this will have long arms in the rear. So that'll be a fun comparison, so stay tuned to see that. All right, I got the long arms wrapped up on the Beerbulance and I got the front locker in it, so now it's time to go out and test it in the ditches and see how this thing performs. This ought to be a good look at the articulation here. So you can see it's a pretty good spot. I mean, I've got the rocker into the ground right there. Ambulance is handling it like a champ though, with that front locker in it especially. Tires tucking up pretty good. We're not even close to the limit on this thing. So yeah, let's just climb up the rest of the way out of here, and then we'll go jump onto the other obstacles. Hopefully we don't run out of gas on our way to this next spot. Well, it's coming back up a little bit. I like sitting at that angle as long as I was. Craned it down a little bit, but... Oh, I need to go to the hard side now. So we've got the hard side over there in amongst the trees. And so far, Meatball's been the only Jeep that could do this. And if we can successfully navigate this with the Beerbulance, then this will be number 2. And if not, then I'm gonna have to leave it parked until my wife gets home, because I am at home alone. So we'll see. Man, it sure is a shame that that plant's in the way. Let me pull you up out of there. This is about max articulation because it started teetering a little bit. Oh my gosh, the spring fell out. Oh, and I'm resting on it? Oh boy. This has become a thing. Guess I need a spring retainer. This is all stuffed up. That's dropped down about max for the rear shocks. The rear shocks I feel like could be longer on this kit because there's a lot more travel in there. But shoo, buddy. I don't know if you remember, but the last time the Beerbulance came through here, it about rolled. I guess that was over there even. It wasn't even the big hole. But man. Look at all that suspension drop. It's certainly a killer kit, that's for sure. I don't know how the hell I'm gonna get the spring back in there. I guess we may have to leave this thing parked here until she gets home. Oh, she's not gonna be happy about that. I'm gonna have to get rid of some of those bushes right there so we can see this better next time. Oh yeah, look, here you go. That's full drop. The tire's completely off the ground. And you can see I did not elect to use the rough country shock extender things because they are trash and they like to rip these mounts off of the axles. So I just went to the factory location and I put wheel spacers on so that the tire doesn't rub up against there. I guess this is a good time to check if it does or not. Oh, we're golden. Sweet. So now I'll think about how to get out of here. We'll see what happens. Maybe I can pull forward or backwards just a hair and set that back in there. you guys keep an eye on that spring and let me know if it falls out again. Alright, we got one more spot to try over here. Should be fairly straightforward as long as we don't lose the spring again. Just gotta straighten up to it. I'll go set up the tripod. This one's pretty tall. I think on the tape measure it's about a 60, but it's pretty shallow on the spot that I'm going for, so it's not as crazy and it's not as off camber. So we should be able to do okay, but I'll set up the tripod, we'll get up out of this and then go back in the house. Well, that's going to be a wrap on the beer ambulance for a little while. Otherwise, we're just going to be wheeling this thing. With the locker and the long arms, it's super capable now, for sure. I'm definitely going to have to put in a better spring retainer for the fronts, but otherwise, what a machine. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you stay tuned for the next couple of projects and things that we do around here. Click the like and subscribe buttons, and I'll see you on the next project.